Kind of go through these devices, you're going to have questions. Again, you guys have never touched any of these devices before, I'm guessing. That's why most people come to see me. So hang on to your questions through our first 2 stops. I'll be answering those questions. And this is one of our busier areas, so I don't want to be talking over the traffic for too long if we don't have to. I know it's a Monday night, and you're like, oh, there's no traffic at all. But watch, when the traffic does start coming, it'll...
Energies, maybe?
Energies, how? Like, as a thermal imaging.
We sell those. That exactly.
Right, we're looking for cold spots. So you guys sell FLIRs? Is that what?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a FLIR. I don't have to explain to you what this actually. It's a FLIR Pro one, yes.
Familiar.
So, sorry, I had to correct you. But with this one, the reason why I use it, obviously it's very portable, and obviously much less expensive than the handheld guns, but it makes it very portable for what we're doing out here. So what we're looking for with this guy particularly is going to be the cold spot. So you should be able to see me, the red, orange, and yellow guy. I'm talking to a team that sells this. I should be pointing it over here. So again, red, orange, and yellow guy, you should be able to see me moving around in there. So what we're looking for are the cold spots, which are going to be blue and black. The nice thing about this camera is that it does have a blue dot that's bouncing around the screen, is the way I have it set up to show us the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. I'm looking for 15+ degree temperature drops. So that's the mentality of what I look for when I'm looking through this guy. Now, with this one, as great as the hardware is, the software does suck for it. I will just point it out. If we record for too long, we end up losing footage. So we're going to do a few starts and stops with this guy. So Bennett is recording. So
there's really some spooky stuff in New Orleans.
You know, he was just asking us. We've never done it because we live there. So
it's like a half moon shape. It's like a crescent moon. Okay. So you'll see it. It'll be in the bottom of the space. Trust me, I've tried so many different types of lights with that to try to get rid of it. That's the smallest I can make it. But you're on the right path. Okay. So yeah, you can definitely hit the record button. Let's get it started. So where are we? We're in a parking lot, like I said, but this used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion site. So their mansion actually used to sit in the front of this space, and then Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant over there and came all the way across, and in the back were the servant and slave quarters. So that's the layout of the land. Who the heck were these people? First off, you need to know, for you spirit box and communication device people, I'm not going to be giving you questions like what color was George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there at the Big Red Barn. You're going to get the answers from your communication device. So, Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. So that's 3 different Charleses, in case you lost track. That's why we look for secondary clues. So that way we know which one is actually starting to come through. Now, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a big deal for us here in South Carolina, but I hate politics more than everybody here. We're going to move on. We're going to talk about Eliza. She has a much better story anyway. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards. For the communication device people, if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, do not expect numbers like 12 and 14 from the colonial times that they came from. Think of today's standards. I bring it up because her husband was over double her age when they got married. Creepy age gap in the 1700s, a creepy age gap now. Now, she married him because her father, who was over in England, thought he was dying. He's trying to bring all his children home one last time, so that way he can see them one last time. So, Eliza didn't believe he was dying. She stayed put and got married. It's 1744. You don't get married in that year to get a green card. We're not even a country yet. So, she married him out of love. And don't poke the bear at communication device people. This was a true love story. There is no foul play in the marriage, just so you know. But she was right. Dad didn't die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to where we're standing right now. You guys have been in town for at least a few hours that I know of. You've seen the word indigo somewhere, and that's exactly what he sent her. Indigo seeds. That is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. Some of you are wearing denim tonight because that's what we use it for. When she got the seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. She had to learn from her servants and slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's obviously not warm here all the time. When she figured it out and learned how to make the dye, she moves it to a cash crop plantation just south of here by the Stono River. Gets a hold of her dad and says, rice plantations are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with this indigo. And now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. Something absolutely unheard of. So, that's all the weird, boring business stuff of Eliza. That's what you need to know about her. Let's get into the weird stuff that you guys don't know, and the things that you won't find out until you start asking questions. So here's what's going to happen with the communication device people. I'm basically going to give you like a small series of questions to focus on and things you can ask Eliza or focus on. So whatever's more comfortable for you. So kind of keep that in mind. So with yours, I want to tell you first off that Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. So she loves to show us her maiden name because both Eliza wives had a maiden name that started with the letter L. So hopefully she's going to show that to you. The other piece is that the mansion's not here anymore. What happened to it, and when did that happen? So that's a pretty big one, because obviously that's a pretty big deal. Notice that none of those are yes/no questions. They're all very specific answers. Lindsay, with yours, you're going to go straight after Eliza's death. So she's pretty comfortable and open about talking about it. So you can ask her how old she was, where she's buried, what she died from, what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. Like very specific questions that we commonly get the answers to. And keep in mind, all you communication device people, you might not get a direct answer. You might be asking a question, but the answer is going somewhere else. We also have 2 different video cameras with audio plus my voice recorder. So we literally have 6 ways of communication out here tonight. So don't get discouraged if you don't get anything. With yours, please tread lightly. I'm going to give you the questions about the children. 2 questions. How many did she have? What were their names? Nothing further. I want to see how far we can go with that. There's a tragedy among those kids. If you start poking the bear, even the EMF readings that Dana's getting over here are going to stop. I've seen it dozens of times. So this is a place of respect, just so you guys know. This is not one of those places where we can poke the bear with the, hey Eliza, come on out kind of thing. Like, she does not respond to that at all, just so you guys know. Sorry about that light. These new motion lights they're brand new. They just got here like 2 weeks ago. I started like playing around with them, see if I can use them part of the investigation, but they flicker on and off with every piece of dust that goes by. So what we're going to do is we're going to be spreading out. I'm going to be showing Dana a few extra things about her device, but at the same time I'm going to be bouncing around to people with devices to kind of see what's going on with those devices. But we're going to be here for probably about 5 to 8 minutes depending on what's going on with your devices. So definitely, Carla, go ahead and get yours unmuted. That way you guys can listen in on that one together. And I'll be following up with you next just to make sure that the other settings are there working properly and what you're actually hearing out of it. So Lindsay, have you heard anything coming out of yours yet?
I had it on mute. So
Okay.
I'm going to come and bring it back
All right.
up.
Yeah, go ahead and bring it back up. But everybody, let's go ahead and spread out. I'm going to keep you with me for just a few minutes so I can show you how to use that thing and get those readings from you again.
Yeah. Oh wait, I need somebody in the view. There's my mom. Why is she the same temperature as? Oh my god. She's like the same temperature as the sidewalk. Legs and head hotter. Oh, there's a person. It's a real person. It's not a ghost. I think it's a real person. Two more people. Up. Is that a church? 2 other people. 3 more humans, non-ghosts. Also 2 humans. Human. Alright, let's look at the parking meters. Or, I don't know why I said parking meters, I mean power lines. Person.
Either one. They both have communication. Either one.
2 strangers in the distance. What?
How many children did you have, Eliza? She doesn't want to answer.
Eliza, it's okay.
How many children did you have?
But don't X any of them out because sometimes those terms are relevant to somebody else. right, where's my other spirit box? Here's the next one. Okay. So you have it unmuted. Okay. You have noise coming out of it as well.
Oh, that was just my finger. $69, $74, $69, $70, $71. Hi, Ghost.
Back to it.
A large gathering of non-spirits.
So have you heard any voices come out of it? Like that you can make out? It's not easy. Yeah. It's definitely not easy. Alright, let's get that one. Where's the other one? Of course, she's working in her own little world back here.
So many humans, so few ghosts. Oh. Is that an apparition? Oh, it's my hand.
Presser.
It's a ghost!
How many children did you have? 6? You're 6?
I heard 3. I heard 5.
What were their names? She's getting annoyed with me because I can't understand anything. How many children did you have?
Maybe ghosts like dumpsters. I would like a dumpster. Yes, sir.
You got a square going, perfect. So yeah, just be yeah, and you're going to in this lot. The ground here is very odd because it's got mud, it's got water, it's got dirt. You know what I mean? It's got all kinds of material. That's why it's so many different colors. When I'm looking for something on this video, I'm normally looking for blue spots or blue areas to be moving over, like either the buildings or anything over the wall.
Okay.
So again, I still watch the blue dot, even though it's actually up in the sky right now. I told you some places that's going to be impossible. If the blue dot drops a little bit and like comes down over the orange somewhere, I'm definitely going to be looking out for it.
Okay.
Just because that sky should be pretty damn cold. I can't read it from here, but it looks like 32 to 35 degrees.
Yep.
Yeah. If it drops down in front of the building, that means there's something colder down here than in the sky.
Okay.
So.
Hold it like that, probably.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually optimal. But again, I told you, just do your best. I mean, you've never done this before.
Yep.
So what's the dynamic between you two?
Oh, that's my mom.
Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't know.
yeah,
I never
yeah.
know if that's like aunt or like whoever. I
got
never
asked
assumed.
if I was her husband yesterday, and that was weird. I didn't like that one. I think she
Sure.
liked it because she thought she was young, but...
Well, I never ask because it's one of those, or I never like assume anything. I always ask. That's if it seems forward, I'm sorry. It was just kind of like I don't want to call her mom and she's not. I'm like, nope, that's my aunt or my best friend's mom. Or,
that is my
whatever.
mother.
You got anything coming out now?
Well, yeah, but nothing I can understand.
Okay, well, definitely help her out with that if you two can kind of stick together.
All right.
Okay.
That one's not an easy one because it is so sporadic, and that way, even if you do miss something, it's coming up on the audio here. So I'm going to give Lindsay another minute because she did pick up a few other words on hers, so I'm going to see if she gets anything, and then I'm going to pull us all together and give us all the answers, and then we'll kind of see what she's got going on.
Okay, sweet. I think that's just water. Hold that. Building. Wait, let's go. Look, there's a light. No, that's the sky. That's a building too, but the sky's bad. Whoa, I like my finger. Set underground water. Okay.
So that's a very interesting question that's going in front of everybody. It's fine because I'm going to get everybody together anyway. We're going to go to the back of the space in case any cars want to come back this way, and this way you guys aren't standing at that blinding light. So the question that was just asked was if I had ever in between the ivy wall there, if other tours will cut through, we'll just kind of split the seas and let them pass through.
Thank you for the pictures with there. People come storming at the
Yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah, it's pretty close. But either that or they'll be coming down from this end. So again, we'll talk about like the parameters of this particular location. Let's see, as far as the EMF detection, where's that at? So anything above a 7 at this location because the lamppost will give off between a 5 to a 7. Just so you know, you'll get those little spikes. So where the heck are we? This place used to be called Dueler's Alley. It's called Philadelphia Alley now. So Dueler's Alley is because this is where some of the duels used to occur. That's why they called it that. We all tell the story of the same duel that occurred down here because we can actually prove it. But I'm going to tell it to you a little bit differently because you're ghost hunting. You need a little bit different details than the campfire marshmallow type of ghost story. So every ghost tour comes down here, and it's a staple for every tour. Here's how the story goes. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. So in the event that the song Brown Eyed Girl shows up for you, it's not coincidence. That's part of his name, Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. We get it all the time on Brown Eyed Girl, just so you know. But anyway, he moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. So, I'm sorry. I was like, wait a minute. Is somebody hearing something? I heard a voice. But anyway, Amanda just inherited all this money, and she has an attorney. And the attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's cash. So he tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. So he comes to Charleston to prove that he's not after her money. As he's coming into town, the coachman that brought him in set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a good start to his stay in Charleston. So somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. I stopped there because Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. So, Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. We were getting the letters R.I. all the time on your spirit box. So I bought a new device. We're not using it tonight because I thought it would weird everybody out, but it is basically a digital Ouija board. So what it does is it takes EMF detection, like what Dane is using, and translates it into a letter over when it's moving over the alphabet. We have gotten the letters R.I. almost on command at least half a dozen times in the past 6 months that I've had it. So kind of keep that in mind. This is going to be a neighbor walking through, so we're going to let her jog through. Yeah, watch your cameras if you don't mind. Any numbers coming out of there? Nothing at all? Anyway, Ralph Isaacs. So, Ralph tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to go with this guy. He's going to try to kill you. I know him. Come with me to 59 Church Street. That's obviously a very prominent number that shows up here a lot. You can rent a room from there. I know there's some friends of mine. He took them up on the offer. They became friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he's not after Amanda's money. Amanda gets wind of this, she's moving down so they can get married. Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. Here's what I'm going to tell you about whistling ghosts. Every haunted city has one. It's a cliche. We all have one. So there is actual proof of whistling ghosts because every tour that comes down here will tell their guests to listen for the whistles. Nice thing for you is we're using 2 video cameras right now plus my voice recorder. You don't have to do it on your own. You can listen to it later. However, moving on. Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He makes more money so he gets better seats. That's kind of how the hierarchy works back then. So they used to talk about these plays on the way home. One night they would go see Richard III from Shakespeare, and they're arguing over the new actress that was here. Dr. Ladd thought she was great. Ralph didn't. The argument turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. They go their separate ways, pretty pissed off. Now, I told you Ralph has friends around town. He stops to his friends at the newspaper and puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a you're a disgrace to society kind of mentality. Dr. Ladd saw the newspaper ad, but rebutted with, let's go to Jeweler's Alley. We're going to settle this, somebody's going to die, and that's going to be the end of it. So they came down, they took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel. Ralph has his one bullet, puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Dr. Ladd drops to the ground and doesn't die. His friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later on November 2nd of 1786. I think you heard the number 85, and I said close but no cigar.
Yep.
So, with that said, again, every tour will tell you to listen for the whistles. You hear how quiet it is down here? It is always this quiet, even on a busy Saturday afternoon. It's one of the most picturesque places we have in all of Charleston. You all mentioned how beautiful it was when you came down here until you started hearing about ghosts, right?
It's pretty.
However, there are a lot of whistles that go on down here, including from the locals. Keep in mind, every local person down here knows this story, and if they're walking up and down Queen Street or Cumberland Street, they all throw a whistle down the alley, me included. I will tell you, we passed up my garage on the way here, which means I have to pass the alley every single night. And I throw a whistle down here every night, ever since I got kicked out of here. That's the fun part of the story. So let's rein this in a little bit closer so the other neighbors coming by don't actually hear this. So, this alley didn't go all the way through this way. So there was a wall there. That's because this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. It was called Cow Alley before it was Dueler's Alley. So that means those bricks on the other far end of this, that's by Queen Street, those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's one full handprint from a slave child in one of those bricks down there, bless you, and there's fingerprint swipes and other bricks down there. And part of my route when I first started doing this was to go all the way down, but I would point out that brick. But I treat that brick with the handprint the same way I do a grave. That kid's not there. That's the last place you're going to find him. So, November 26th of 2020, my entire group was huddled around that brick, waiting for something to happen with their devices. I'm trying to shoo them along because I know nothing's going to happen, and I'm being respectful of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley, which we're standing outside his kitchen window. So, he came out screaming. I was just trying to be respectful, not knowing I was actually out of bounds. I'm not allowed to take tours down that far, but I didn't know it at the time. So he come out yelling. My daughter thought it was great because she was on the tour that night. His dad's getting yelled at, and we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't work Thanksgiving because before I started doing this, I worked in retail management, mainly for Walmart, for over 20 years. You guys can understand why I'll never work another Thanksgiving in my life. November 28th, Black Friday. I called my partner that I had at the time, and I told him what happened, and he said, you can't take people all the way down. You can only go down halfway or reroute the group. So I go to that tour that night, and I told my team, I don't believe in the next story. I know that's a bad thing to say, but I've never had anything happen there, and I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. Before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I didn't tell them who we were going to be investigating, which was the famous female pirate Anne Bonny. So, well, damn it. Get over there, told them what little bit I did know about pirates from my research that day, because that's all I could do. Somebody else on a spirit box heard the number 300. I didn't know what that meant. I wrote it down, and we actually... Oh, we're going to let that pass through. Another neighbor. How you doing? He's got a new fan base, doesn't he? So the number 300 turned out to be, we were there on November 28th of 2020. That was our first time there. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I went, damn it, now I gotta learn about pirates. So, since then, I've read more books on pirates than I ever wanted to in my entire lifetime, and what I will tell you my problem with pirates is that it's lore. So I have a master's degree in creative writing, which means I need facts and data to be able to prove what I actually do out here with the paranormal. Basing things off of pirate lore is a big problem. So that's why I've read so many books on even how to debunk pirates and what the actual things that occurred during piracy were. Because again, we have a lot of very romantic gestures towards pirates, don't we? So everything we're going to be discussing at the next location came from a minimum of 2 resources. So it is a hit or miss location because Anne is said to be seen all over town. But what I will tell you is we're going to also expect to bleed over from where we are now. Here's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about the word aim. And you also had something about house, right? My home, something along those lines. So I'm hoping that the number 59.
Build.
I think you had something with house. The word aim is obviously very relevant here, but I'm going to need something else to verify that it's something legit coming through, and it's hopefully going to be coming through on Lindsay's spirit box that she's just missing in real time. So, and it's every night, because you guys listen to me and you turn things down and it's fine. That's why we use that particular device. Yeah. So that's the whole purpose of it. Our EMF detection, have we gotten anything over there, Dana?
No.
Nothing at all? Okay. Yeah. It's pretty light. I don't know why, because it's when the city is quiet, the activity is usually not. That's usually the weird thing. The gate behind me, before we leave the space, remember that the alley didn't go all the way through this way. So that means there was a wall there, and if there was a loser to the duel going on this side, this means that instead of the guy dying and they have to carry him all the way down and around to go to the cemetery, this was a shortcut to get to the cemetery on the other side of the wall. I just think the gate wasn't there, but the archway was. So again, you have to kind of think of like how the logistics work when things are being built, and over time, how they actually evolve. The wrought iron wasn't there. I'm going to guess it was probably placed there in the early 1900s based on the ironwork, but the archway is definitely original to the alley. So again, very interesting space. You guys should be super quiet. Maybe that's I know. You guys got to shut me up. That's the thing. You're supposed to be telling me stuff that you're hearing or seeing. So you guys ready to go learn about pirates? Because this one, again, I told you, we're not going to spread out. This is hopefully going to be bleed over into the next location. All right. We're going to take silence as compliance. Yes, another lot, but we are here to talk about that little building over there with the crosses on it. For those of you that are not from here, which is all of you, those are not crosses, those are earthquake bolts. If you're unfamiliar with earthquake bolts, they're basically turnbuckles. So if we have another earthquake, like what we did in 1886, which we have not, by the way, you can turn those turnbuckles, and it's supposed to tighten the building back up so it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. The reason I bring these ones up specifically is because those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in, which is part of the reason why we're here. They did that because that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. So it was finished in 1713. That building was being constructed at the exact same time that Anne Bonny was coming here to start her new life. This is what I call a familiar. For those of you that watch the TV shows and movies, you've seen where they use a teddy bear to try to attract the child ghost. This is the same type of principle because the child would recognize the teddy bear as a toy. Anne Bonny would recognize this because we don't have many buildings this old. So let's kind of get into the whole story of Anne Bonny, and then we're going to spread out and go through the device piece like what we did at the Pinckney Mansion site, where you guys can crank up your videos and your spirit boxes, and hopefully we'll get some activity here. So, 1708, right in the middle of the building's construction, which by the way took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government small building, 10 years? No, not at all. But anyway, 1708, a young lady from Ireland moves here. Her name is Anne Cormack. You get to that side over there, we have 2 electrical meters and 2 electrical poles, and then the parking meters on the other side. It's usually about whatever you get on this back half. So that's where we get excited about things. 2.5 being your first base. All right, guys, let's spread out unless you got something to tell me. You got anything going on with your word list, Lindsay?
SH.
Yes. Hold on. Hold the phone. Everybody back. I gotta reveal this story. So, I told you things go off beat from time to time, and there's like 15 stories on this corner. Have you guys gone over to the St. Philip's Church at all, just by walking around town, and notice that there's 2 different cemeteries? Alright, so let me explain. Every ghost tour ends across the street. I stop telling this story until we get clues about it, and it's a visual piece. It's very quick, and then we'll go explore, I promise. So, across the street, at the eastern part of the St. Philip's Cemetery, there's a sign right inside the gate that says there's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost. That's because they don't want jerks like me with all my crazy cameras trying to recreate what happened. So here's how this story goes. 1888, a young lady dies by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. Initials normally would be SHH. Shh. Yes, it's cheesy, it's campy.
Spooky, spooky.
Speaking. Just posting it. What's she saying? I don't know. She's saying I'm tired. What color's your hair?
Building, building. Tree, tree. People, people.
See how your word is coming down.
Apparitions.
So what's it like?
Why are you so angry? It just said Jack. 3 minutes, 21 seconds into the film, the thingy just said Jack. Maybe Jack's around here.
Up to 1.1 is natural anyway from the Earth. So that's why we go straight to 2.5. Where's Carla? You got anything coming out?
No names.
Give you another minute with that one, just because I want to see if something else pops up. Because we do have 2 terms relative to Jack, so I want to see if something else pops up with that, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this one up.
Any paranormal activity around me?
You look like a ghost on here.
Maybe
Whoa.
I am.
Look at my face. Your face looks as creepy.
Is Lindsay getting anything?
She had 2 numbers,
It's
like she
weird.
heard 9 shots and then the number 3. So again, I have to look at those numbers as kind of like what is going on with that. See if it's a combination. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, we can start to head towards the wall. I know like half of you don't have the places, so let's go over this way.
So we have one more after this?
Yes.
Okay.
Here and there, just to see. I don't know if it's needed anymore. I don't know. Like something.
Spooky, spooky. Hello?
Okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Spooky. Hello. Speak to me. Speak up to me. Oh. I bet you won't.
Shadow.
Really?
You just need somebody to step up there. You just need somebody to step up there.
Maybe I'll do it. Am I talking to them?
No, you're not going to do anything yet.
Dana.
Need to put it on until we come back. Don't sit in a dark part with a blindfold on, where everybody can see you. So get used to opening that. I also want you to kind of get used to playing around with these, because these are going to go over your ears after you're blindfolded. And I want you to get a feel for how they move around and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So when we come back after like 3 or 4 minutes of them getting the history, we're going to be right over there. We're going to talk to you as if you were the ghost that I'm going to tell them about. But the other piece of this, there's a couple of things you'll need to know before you go under. So you guys can just sit here and chat for a few minutes. You don't need to put the earbuds in or any of this equipment on. Just kind of get used to it and get it open and ready. Okay?
Okay.
No.
And then I heard a name and a city, I don't know. Whitney and Boston. Nothing.
Nothing? That doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
Again, I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, let's go learn the history of the space, guys. Come on over this way.
But I do want to warn everybody to take my kind of right in between. It's like the
Shadow.
honestly, whatever you are.
Hey, you heard something out of there. I'm impressed. That thing's not easy.
It's
Coming
not.
off ever kind of since, well, I thought since we kind of came in, I've been hearing it. I don't know if
But
it's
It's hard to understand it though.
because it'll still give just little tidbits of static. All right, so the first time I came here, I didn't know what we were going to. You're not going to know the history until I give you the link in the morning. So that kind of gives you an idea. You're not going to know anything other than what we tell you of what was actually relevant. When we're done, I'm sorry, what's your name? Alex. Alex is going to tap you on the leg to tap you out. It's not going to feel like you were under for 10 minutes. Don't freak out. It's going to feel like a very short amount of time. I'm also going to be watching your breathing, because this can be very disorienting. Some people actually start to hyperventilate. I've had to put people out.
Okay.
So don't get discouraged. Again, whisper, no matter how silly you think it is. And it's also okay to answer yes, no answers. You don't know what I'm asking. So again, just tell us everything you're hearing that you're hearing.
Okay.
All right, so here, blindfold first. Did you figure that out?
This, I cannot.
Okay, let me help you.
Oh, you have to open it like that. There we go.
There you go.
Okay.
It's like a little
So
Batman
I
thing.
probably need to take these off.
Yeah, more than likely.
Okay. Actually block it out. Oh yeah. Thank you. Okay.
I'm also going to control your volume. You'll need to give me the thumbs up and the hold for when the volume is good, and I'll set the device next to you.
Okay.
We want to make sure you're not cheating and hearing what we can actually hear. All right, everybody, let's rein in a little bit closer so we're not... You're perfect. Everybody else I wanted to kind of rein in a little bit. All right.
Okay.
Grab those earbuds. Turn it all the way to mute.
This is so awkward. I just feel like everyone's like right by my face.
Yeah.
How'd you know?
Hello.
Okay. I'm going to start turning it up. Oh, headphones. so you definitely cannot hear us.
And I'm giving a thumbs up or down.
Yeah, when the volume is good.
Okay. Oh.
You want me to help you?
When I was actually looking at it.
Oh, you can help.
Okay. Yeah. What's happening?
That guy down there.
Okay.
No, yeah, now you got it upside down. There you go, perfect.
Right here.
Yeah, just pull it apart and then put it on top of your head and pull it out.
The other one, I think, too.
Why is I have a small head too. No. Is this right? What's happening?
This is why I have them play with them ahead of time.
When I was looking at it, it made sense. Oh, jeez, this is weird. We're right here.
Yeah, don't tap her, then she'll start pulling everything off.
Oh, sorry.
Let's call that a loop.
Right there.
All right, so it is 10:51. Give her a few seconds to get acclimated. We are looking for Henry Timrod to be able to come talk to us. This is Lindsay. She can hear you through the things over her ears.
Turn it up a little bit.
It's at max. That's as high as it goes.
She can't hear you.
No, she can't hear me. But I'm just letting you guys know.
Oh, I
like,
thought you were
it's at
telling
max.
her. Rivals.
Okay. Henry Timrod, can you tell us what your occupation was, please? What did you do for a living? Henry Timrod? Kind of need some proof that you're here. You got to answer some of these questions for us. Henry Timrod, please tell us what your occupation was. Should have watched that word. Just keep an eye on that. Sometimes the answers go to you.
I don't know.
Henry Timrod, tell us about your son. What kind of details do you want to tell us about your son?
'96.
He died at the age of 38 in 1867.
Billy.
Billy, Ben. Interesting. What about Philadelphia? Is somebody here that's relevant to Philadelphia? Let's go back to Henry Timrod. Please tell us what your occupation was. I'm trying to keep things nice and simple until we can get some answers.
Bach.
Henry Timrod.
Things in our lives.
Do you want to talk about your wife? It's a yes/no question. You're telling me a lot about your wife, Katie. What do you want to tell us about her?
Dead.
She is dead. Can you tell me what year she died?
Something really cool.
What year did your wife die? Henry Timrod, do you want to tell us about your wife?
trip.
4 minutes, just so everybody knows that's how long she's been under. How many people are actually
Dancing.
Didn't you get the word dancing earlier on your word list?
Yes.
That's-
At 10:49. And I just got the trash.
How old was Katie when you met her? Henry Timrod, how old was your wife Katie when you met her?
No.
Doesn't make any sense. Try a number.
Bad complex.
We're not getting much at all, are we? Let's go back to your son, Henry. What do you want to tell us about your son? You want to tell us his birthday? It's a very specific holiday.
Every job imaginable.
How about that?
Yeah.
Henry Timrod, what do you want to tell us something specific about your life? I've asked you about your wife, your child, how old your wife was, your occupation.
Apocalypse. Silence.
You have been pretty silent. You would like some answers, please.
Sleep.
We should all be sleeping right now. I think we're all pretty exhausted. Henry, tell me something about what you did after the war.
24. No.
Okay? Oh, the son was born on Christmas
Yes.
Eve, 24. It's vague, but it's there. Were you referring to your son Willie with the number 24?
Yeah, she said she just.
No, she didn't. Yeah. Oh, I didn't ask the question yet.
Maybe she's psychic.
Not her, it's Henry.
Well, maybe he's psychic.
Henry,
We knew what you're gonna
is 24 relevant to your son? Is that why you told us that number? That's a yes/no question.
ask.
11.
Henry Timrod, we're running out of time. Give us something.
Change the game.
Change the game. Are you asking us to leave?
Yes.
Would you like us to leave?
Listen.
We've been listening. You're not saying much. You're pretty quiet tonight.
Haddock.
Saying tag, not it. Okay, Henry, I'm going to call it on this one because you're not giving us anything tonight. Alex, go ahead and tap her leg. You go ahead and stop your video.